So in our last class, we discussed that if you run this code, this 50, whatever you put here now, let's say I put 3 here, that will be the starting point. Whatever you put here will be
Yeah,
the ending point.
the ending point.
So, and according to this code now, we had an in our last class. The use this. If you run this code, let me run this page now. We have this undefined. So the task I gave us then was that to write this code such that we won't see this undefined. Instead,
Undefined.
it will end at the last number here. So we have different ways we can go about it. We can say that, well, you can say, um, you know that according to our knowledge about the loop, I equals to start. That will tell us the starting point, right? This is
Yes.
good. Then this condition will always be checked for each round. It will always be checked. So it's going to check if the value of I is lesser than n. You can now say and I is lesser than array dot length. This should solve it. One. This is the solution. So
Sir,
I,
please come again.
this condition will always be checked for each round of this loop.
Yes.
So let's say in this case now, high is start is 3, end is 20, right?
Yes.
And ARR is this array. So
Yes.
when you get to this loop, high becomes the value of starts, I becomes 3.
Yes.
Then it will now check if the value of I is lesser than end, is lesser than 20, yes. And at the same time, it must also be lesser than the length of the array. Meaning that whenever any
Okay.
of these two conditions, whenever any of them is not met, then it's going to terminate this loop. Do you understand? Are we confused?
No, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you get the explanation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please.
So whenever any of these two conditions, any of them is not met, then it's going to terminate this loop. So height first be 3. Is 3 less than 20 because value of end is 20? Yes. Is 3 less than the length of this array? How many items do we have in this array? We have 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. 3 is less than 8. These two conditions are met. Then it will enter this loop and run the code there. Then I plus plus I becomes 4. Is 4 less than 20? Yes. Is 4 less than the length of the array? Yes. Then do it again, I becomes 5. Is 5 less than 20? Yes. 5 less than 8? Yes. Then run the code again. I plus plus I becomes 6. Is 6 less than 20? Yes. Is 6 less than 8? Yes. Then run the code here. I plus plus I becomes 7. Is 7 less than 20? Yes. Is 7 less than 8? Yes. It's going to run all the codes there again. I plus plus I becomes 8. Is 8 less than 20? Yes. Is 8 less than the length of this array? Is 8 less than the length of this array? No. The length of this array is
No,
also
no.
8. So for that reason, it will terminate that loop. Do you understand? But if you write another solution aside this, is fine. Like that's the beauty of programming. You can also use break to achieve the same results. You can use break. So in it, Timos, a call is coming up from your end. Please.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
So you can also use break. Instead of doing this, you can do something like this. You can say if the value of I is equal to the length of the array. That's ARR dot length. Then break. So this will still work fine. So once this condition is met, then it terminates the loop. You can shorten this code by writing it like this. It's still the same thing. So if this condition is met instantly, it will terminate the loop. Oh, sorry. Because if it's here, if it's after this, it will first give me I index 8, and the last index we have here is 7. Do you understand? Are we together?
Yes, boss.
Do we understand the
Hello,
explanation?
sir, please, I have a question, sir. Are you with me, sir?
Okay, sir.
Sir, this if condition, does that mean the break can work that way?
Yes, if you are not writing a lot of logic in your if statement, instead of writing it like this, if you are not writing a lot of
Okay,
stuff, you can just reduce it to one line. It
okay,
will work.
okay, sir. Okay, noted, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. So we have this. So once this condition is met, then it will terminate the loop immediately. So this is still work fine too. And if you have any other means also, it's like you have different ways to make things work. Maybe if you have suggested another solution for you aside this is still fine. That's the beauty of programming. Just understand your codes. Make sure whatever code you have in your code or whatever thing you write in your codes, make sure you understand everything there. Any question?
So, sir, this is the solution.
Yes, any of the two, whether this or the one I first did by coming here to do something like this, and I is less than ARR dot. Right, whichever one, you can use this, you can use this by using break, it's still fine. Question.
Wow.
So we are done with the slice method. Now for today, I think in our last two classes I talked about nested arrays. Then I said that would drive us to what is called nested loops, right?
Loops.
So let's
Yes.
quickly revise nested arrays. Then we talk about nested loop, and I'll give us class to do on it. I'm surprised others aren't here. Okay, now
I'm so surprised too.
let's create an array that looks like this. In my array, let's say I have Taiwo, Kenny, let's say, okay, okay. Then, done. So now here's my question. I want to display it. How do I go about it? I want to display this 8. I want to display this 8. How do I go about it?
You want to display 8, sir?
Yes.
So,
Good evening. No, please, I just joined though. What is the question, sir?
Sir. Okay.
Yes, sir. I would say so. I said we in one of our in our last two classes we talked about nested arrays. So the question is this: I have this array. Inside this array, we have some other arrays there within this big array. So the question is, I want to display it. What do I write here? I want to see it as a result. So what do I write there? Some sacks. Before you joined the class, we all we've done is the solution to the last assignment. But the class is recorded, so don't worry. You can watch it after the class. You can watch the solution after the class.
All right.
Eight should be A.
Okay.
The what was it called? The square bracket.
Okay.
And one.
Are you sure?
One.
Any
So let's see.
contrary opinion? Any contrary opinion? Not that. You want to see this 8. This 8. You can tell us what to do now to see 8.
So I say what?
Who can tell us what to see 8? This is what we got. Not the number 8. I want to display this 8. You can tell us what to do.
That is that not the A that is showing?
No. I'm only
The 8 without the square
yes,
bracket.
without the square braces.
So I can use dot
I can use.
the dot notation now. You can use the dot notation.
No, not in this case.
But I don't get the question. You don't want the
I
A
want to
to
see
show
8.
in what?
I want to see 8. Now, what we have here is 8 in an array. I want to see just this 8, not these square braces around it.
Oh,
Okay.
In case I want to multiply it by 3, can I multiply this by 3? No. What's your law? JavaScript has really, if I'm not even expecting it to work, I'm expecting it to tell me not a number.
But how come it's wrong, sir?
Well, maybe part of the changes, probably, maybe part of the changes made to JavaScript. I don't know. But I'm not. I wasn't even expecting it to work. I wasn't. I was expecting it to tell me that it's not a number because it's an array.
Okay.
So I was surprised it worked. Python will work. Python will work. Things like that will work in Python. But in JavaScript, I'm not expecting it to work. Okay, so who can tell me what to do? I want to see
put it
that
up
8.
and remove those
I want to see
curly
this 8.
braces.
Who can tell me what to do?
A equal to 1.
A equal to 1.
Hmm.
I explained this to us in our last. Okay, I want to see Kenny. Who can tell me what to do? see Kenny, who can tell me what to do. Okay. Let's have a quick revision. If I have a variable, and that variable is an array, if I want to see 9, I'll say B index 1. 8 is at index 0, 9 is at index 1, and 10 is at index 2. So I'll just say B index 1. Meaning that go to this array and pick the value at position 1. I told you that while in numbering position, it starts from 0, right? Abi now.
Yes.
So this is at position 1. This will give me 9. Let me log it to the console. So we have this. Let's take it a step further. I now explained something very, very important to us that day. I said each value in an array is separated from the next value using a comma. What that means is this. This is a value in this array. This is index 0. This index 1. This index 2. Why this whole array is index 3? Are we together?
Yes.
Why this 15 is at index 4? Index 0, index 1, index 2. This whole array is at index 3. Why this 15 is at index 4? So if I want to see this whole array now, I'll say B index 3. Then that should give me the whole array. So inside this array now, if I want to see Peter, I can now say index 0. This will first give me, B index 3 will give me the whole array. Then that will give me this array. Then I can now access the index 0 of it. Do we understand it? If you are lost, say I'm lost.
I'm lost, so come again.
Okay, let's do it again. We have this. Variable C equals to B, this B, index 3. You know this is index 3, right?
Yes.
So we are saving it as the value of C. Do we still understand it to that point?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if I say some sacks,
Yes, I'm with you.
okay. If I say console log C now, then you should console log this array. So when we run it, we should have that array. This is the array. So inside this array, I can now choose to log the. Thank you, sir. Inside this array, I can now choose to log the value at index 0. If I, you understand
That's
that this array,
That's Peter.
yes, that would be Peter. Do you understand it now?
Yes.
This
Yes.
whole array is C. Then I can now access the index 0 of that array. So that will give us Peter. Any question? Who doesn't understand it? Like JavaScript is a very interesting language. I wish we can be speaking it on a daily basis. So we have Peter here. So if I want to see James, I can now say C index 1. Abi.
Yes.
So then that should give us James. So instead of breaking this to two lines, I can now combine line 37 and 38 together to form a single statement. By saying that, I want to remove this line and join the two together. So I can say console log B index 3. We know that B index 3. Sorry, caps lock is on. We know that B index 3 refers to this array. So
Yes.
this will give us the array. Then we can now say after returning that array, then help us to get the index 1 of it. So this will give us James. So instead of writing these two lines, we can shorten it by writing this single line. Any question on that? So
So how come the first one we wrote is now wrong?
the
The
first one,
one
don't
we
worry,
the
we'll
one
still
we
be the
did
one to do it.
8.
Don't worry, we'll still be the
8
one
is
to do
1.
it. So B index 3 now will give us this array. Then I can now access the index 1 of it. That will give us James. Any question? You still have James. Let's proceed again. And I want to call attention to something very important. Let's say I have K here, and I want to display this K. How do you think I can display this letter K alone? What do you think I can do? Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you think I can do to display this letter K?
5, 6.
Is that?
Hello,
6.
boss.
Yes.
Right.
6.
Sir,
6.
sir, I lost my connection. No, please.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
Yes, no problem, sir.
5.
You said
Sir,
6.
can we go to okay?
5.
Like
You want
what's
to
it
display
called?
letter
Your
K?
curly bracket. What was it called? Yeah.
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
Yes.
B index 5.
Another curly bracket. Square bracket. Okay, this is 5.
No, like that. No.
Sir,
It should be
sir,
6
sir.
now.
6,
0,
yeah.
1, 2.
0, 1,
Oh, it's 5. It's 5. It's 5.
Okay.
And
5.
0.
And
Sir, I lost my connection. Oh, please. Oh,
no problem, sir.
0, 0.
0. Perfect. So this B index 5 will give us this array.
Yes.
Then we can now access the index 0 of the array. That will give us the letter K.
sir, please, can you come again, please?
Okay. Earlier, I explained that B index 3 will refer to this array, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we are saving this array as the value of C. And we can now come to the next line and say C index 1. And C index 1 will be what?
James.
James. Good. So we can now say, instead of writing these two lines, we can combine the two lines as this. As this. So instead of writing this, we know that B index 3 will refer to this array. Then now pick the index 1 of it. So this will now pick James. This
Which
will
is
consider
James?
James also.
Yeah.
Any question on that?
Yes. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So the question now is, how then do we display K in this nested array? And someone helped us by saying that we can say B index 5, this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this array is at index 3, 15 is at index 4, and this array is at index 5. So we have B index 5. Then after getting this array, we can now access the index 0 to pick out the K in the array. Any question? So this will give us K. Any question? Can we proceed? Can we
Yes.
proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now back to the question
sir.
I asked at the beginning of the class. The question is, how then do I display 8 in this array?
Zero. Sorry. 1, sir.
Okay.
Curly bracket. Square
Index
braces.
1. So,
And there's one of another square braces is 0.
good. Correct. So this will give us 8.
But sorry, from all the ones we did,
Mhm.
they were string now, but this one is not. How
It can be
come
of
you
any
are?
data type. The data type doesn't matter, just the same technique.
Okay.
So,
So, hello.
yes, sir.
Okay. so, so I lost my connection.
Don't worry, since the class is being recorded, you can watch the video after the class.
0, 1, 2,
Now, I want to ask, how do I display A?
0,
How do I
1,
display A?
Put two there,
2,
then
sir.
zero. Two
2,
and zero.
yeah,
2,
2 and 0.
0. Okay,
Mm.
let's go. Correct. How do I display force?
So I'm not getting it. Oh,
Like I said, don't worry, you can watch the video after the class.
okay,
It's
okay,
still the
okay.
same
Three
technique
and
that
one.
we used. The same technique
Three
that
and
I
one.
explained to you here. So we are still using the same technique. How
Three
do I
and one.
display force?
3 and 1.
You said?
3 and 1.
Are you sure?
Hold on, no. 0, 1. 2 and 2.
So that's it. Are you sure?
Yes, 2 and 2.
Well, you'll be
1 now. 1, 1. 2
close.
and 1.
No, you'll be close. We have undefined. 2 and 1. Let's go with that. Again, still won't give us exactly what we want.
This is the 0, 1.
Look at the result. With the result, you should know what to do now.
Go back.
1 and then
You said?
another 1.
Good. And that's it.
Yes.
So, that's, so the reason is this. This array is at index 0. This 8 is at index 1. Then this array is at index 2. So that's why we have that 2. Then after getting that, next is this. This is the index 0 of the
So I
array.
say what? Yes,
This array is at index 0.
yes.
This is at index 1. Then this is at index 2.
Then 2.
After getting
2.
that now, yes, this is at index 2. After getting that, this is at index 0 of this array. Why this is at index 1 of it. Then this is at index 0 of the array, and this is at index 1 of it. Do we understand it now?
Yes.
Are we getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If you are lost, say I'm lost. Okay, if you are getting it, say I'm getting it.
I'm getting it, sir.
Okay. If you are not sure, say I'm not sure. Again, these are.
I'm not sure.
Okay, look at it this way. This index 0, this index 1, and this index 2. So I can save this
2.
at A index 2. And
Yes.
when I say A index 2, then it means that I'm saving this array as the value of B. So let's console log B and see how it looks like. So this is how B looks like. B has A and another array in it. Well, we are interested in that array inside B. Let's save that as C. B. this A is at index 0 of that array, while this array is at index 1. So we can say index 1. Then let's say console log C. We have this. Then we can now access the index 1 of this also. Yes. So we can combine these three lines together now by saying console log A, index 2, index 1, then finally index 1. So that should give us our first. It should give us first. Any question? So that's nested arrays. Let's now go to nested loop. Do you understand nested arrays?
Yes.
Okay, now to nested loop. That is a loop inside another loop. And it's so interesting. Let's go. Let's have our first loop. I will say high start at 4. Yes. Then, so of course, this will give me 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Right? So inside this loop,
Yes.
I now have another loop. Instead of using I now, in this case I will use J, since I've already used I here. Let's say 5. Now let's do something very interesting. Let's say console log hi, comma J. Please, I need our attention here. Yes. Are we all together before I start the explanation here now? We have this first loop, this big loop. Inside this loop, we have another loop. And this is how JavaScript will run it. Let's assume you are JavaScript and you want to run this code. JavaScript will first tell you that variable I is 0. Is 0 less than 4? Yes.
Yes.
Because that condition is true, then it will enter this loop. On getting to this loop, it will see another loop again. Then it will enter this second loop. In this second loop, it will get another variable called J. Then it's going to say is J less than 5? Yes, 0 is less than 5. Then it will enter this second loop, the inner loop. It will now
Can
say
you come
console
again?
log I, comma J. What will it give me? I'm asking us a question. What will I, comma J give us there?
Please explain the thing again.
Okay. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. Okay. First. Second. Let's see what happens. We have a loop. The loop starts here and ends here. Can we all see it?
Yes.
Inside that loop, we have another loop. The inner loop starts here and ends here. Can we see that too?
Yes.
So when JavaScript wants to run these codes, it's going to start from this place and say for I is 0, create a variable called I. Then ask itself, is value of I lesser than 4? What is I?
I is 4.
What is I?
I is 0.
0. Is 0 lesser
Zero,
than 4?
zero.
Is 0 lesser than 4?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Because
Yes, sir.
that condition is true, it will enter this big loop, the one that starts here and ends here. Any question to that part? Can we move on?
To enter where?
So your last comment is what?
Because the statement is
I is
true.
lesser
Is
than
to
4, right?
enter.
Yes, yes.
It will enter this loop that is on all the codes from this place to this place.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
been
Can we proceed from this point?
Yes, yes.
So,
yes, sir.
of course, the first thing is if there's any code here, it will do it. Of course, but there's no code there. If there's any code there, it will do it. Then next, is you now see this inner loop. Any question to that part again? Where is the noise coming from? Please, can we mute our mics? Okay, let's proceed. So, if you see this inner loop, then it's going to say is j equals to 0. Right, it's going to get a variable j and set the value as 0. Is j lesser than 5? What is j?
J is 0.
0.
Is 0 lesser than 5?
Yes.
Because that
Yes, sir.
condition is true, it will enter this inner loop. Any question to that part?
No question, sir.
So it's going to say console log I comma j. What is I?
I is 0.
I at that point is 0, yeah.
What is j?
0.
Good. So it's a console log 0 comma 0. Then if there is any code here, it will run it. On running the code there, it will see the end of this loop. Once it sees this is where I want us to now concentrate. Once it sees this, it goes back to the beginning of this loop. The one that once it sees the end of a loop, then it has to go back to the beginning of that same loop. Do we understand it?
Once
Once it sees
Yes.
this part, of course, I said it to say I comma j. Then if there's any codes here, it will run it. If we have any set of codes here, it will run it. Then it will see this loop, these brackets have been now. It will come to the end of
Yes.
this place, of this loop, right?
Yes.
On getting to the end of this loop, it will now jump back to the beginning of that same loop. It will jump back to the beginning of that same loop, meaning that it will jump back to this place, j plus plus, and increase the value of j from 0 to 1. Then ask itself again, is j lesser than 5? Yes, 1 is lesser than 5. It will enter this loop again. Console log I comma j. What will I see in the console now?
0, 1.
Good, 0 1. It will run all the codes here, then see the end of this loop. On get to the end of this loop again, it will jump back up here and say j plus plus, j becomes 2. Is 2 lesser than 5? Yes. Console log I comma j 0 comma 2. Run all the codes here, then see the end of this loop, then jumps back up. J becomes 3. Is 3 lesser than 5? Yes. Console log I comma j, that's 0 comma 3. Then run all the codes and get to the end of this place, then jump back up. J becomes 4. Is 4 lesser than 5? Yes. Console log I comma j 0 comma 4. Run all the codes here, get to the end of this loop, then jump back up. J becomes 5. Is 5 lesser than 5?
No.
No. So
No.
at that point, it terminates this loop. Then it can now run all the codes after the loop. Do you understand?
Kind of.
If you have any codes after this loop now, it can now run it. So when after running all the codes here, it will now get to the end of this loop, then jumps back to the beginning of the loop again. I plus plus. I will now become 1. It will ask itself, is 1 lesser than 4? Yes. It will enter this loop and run all the codes there again. If I have any code here, it will run it. Then it will see this loop again. On seeing this loop again, it will create a new variable called j, and the value of that j will be 0. It will ask itself again, is j lesser than 5? Yes. It will enter this loop and start again. So log I comma j. What is I? What is I?
0 1.
What is I?
I is 0.
No, I is not 0. I isn't 0. I isn't 0.
0 plus 1. That is
I isn't 0. I should be
I is
1. If you are following me, you should realize
I
that
is
I
1.
is
I is 1.
1.
I one.
What is J?
One.
What is J?
Is
What is J?
you mean now?
Sir,
Yes.
J is 0, man.
J cannot be 0, 1. Now, J cannot be 0 and at the same time it will be 1. J should be 0. Okay, let's come again. You are confused. Please, I don't want us to be distracted at this point. Please concentrate. I'll be starting again and I want us to concentrate. Let's go. I will use small values and so let's start. I will remove this. Let's go. We know how. Please, are we all together? Let me first check us. I'm sure we are all with me before I start this explanation. Newton Timos, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Cousin Jimo, are you with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sam Sachs, are you with me?
We're here. I'm here.
Please, let's start now. The explanation is this. This is a loop.
Okay, sir.
Inside this loop, thank you, sir. This is a loop. Inside this loop, now we have another loop. This is what we call a nested loop. That is a loop inside another loop. This is nested loop. So understand the basic knowledge of a loop. In a loop, once this condition is true, then it means that it's going to run all the codes within that loop, right?
Yes.
So when we run this on the browser, JavaScript will see line 10 first. On line 10, it will see a variable called I, and it will set
Yes.
the value of I to 0. Any question to that point? Can we proceed?
Yes.
Next, is 0 lesser than 2?
Yes.
Yes. Because that condition is true, it means that it's going to run all the codes in that loop, right?
Yes.
Where is the beginning of that loop? Which line?
Line 10.
Where is the end of that loop?
Line 17.
Good. Meaning that it's going to run all the codes from line 10 to line 17 just because this
17.
condition is true. And you know that JavaScript is going to run the codes line by line. That means if you first jump to line 11 and alert hello, any question on that part? Do you understand to that point? Charlie, tẹ̀síwájú.
Yes.
Okay. Next,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
good. It will now see this line 12. After line 11, it will see line 12. On line 12, JavaScript will now see another loop, a new loop, which is different from the first loop. So, JavaScript will enter that new loop and try to run the codes within that loop. Inside that loop, it will see a variable called j, and it will set the value of that variable to 0. Then it's going to ask itself, is j lesser than 3? I'm asking us now, is j lesser than 3?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because j is 0.
0.
Meaning that it's going to run all the codes within that loop. Where is the beginning of that loop?
Line
the
12.
beginning of that loop?
Line 12.
Line 12. Where is the end
Line
of the
12.
loop?
Uh,
15.
Line 15. Meaning
line
that because
15.
good, because that condition is true, it will not know the codes from line 12 to line 15. So it will console log I comma j. What is I? What is I?
I still remains 0, sir.
Good. What is j?
J is still 0
Good.
also.
J is still 0. So this will console log 0 comma 0. When it's done, what will it do next? I'm asking us now, what will it do next?
The alert I.
Good, it
Aye.
will alert I. When it's done with this, it will now come to line 15 and see the end of a loop. Once JavaScript sees the end of that loop, then it will go back to the beginning of that loop. Understand that that was why we have loop, to repeat something. Once you get to the end of a loop, then it goes back again to the beginning, right?
Yes, sir.
It will go back to the beginning of that same loop. Once you get to the end of a loop, then JavaScript will jump back to the beginning of that loop. Where is the beginning of this loop?
Line 12.
Line 12. Good. The reason it's not going to jump to line 10 is because it's not yet here. It's not yet on line 17. Once it gets to line 17, then it will jump back to the beginning. But because it hasn't gotten to line 17, so it won't have any reason to come here. Instead, on getting to line 15 to the end of this loop, it will jump back to the beginning of that same loop. So it's going to jump to the beginning and say j plus plus. J becomes 1. Any question on that part?
No question, sir.
Okay. Is j lesser than 3?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
J is lesser than 3. So 1 is lesser than 3. Because that condition is true, it will console log, it will run all the codes inside this loop. What is I? It will console log I comma j. What is I?
0. 0.
What is j?
1.
1. 1. Don't forget that we've run this j plus plus, so j is now 1. So that's 0 comma 1. When it's done, it will alert I. Then it will get to the end of this loop. What will it do next?
Jump back to line 12 again.
Good.
Check.
It's going to jump back here. I'll say j plus plus. J becomes 2. Is 2 lesser than 3?
Yes.
Yes.
Console log I comma j. What is I?
0.
What
0.
is j?
2.
2.
2. Good. Alert. It will console log 0 comma 2. Then it will alert high. Then it gets to the end of this loop. Then it's going to jump back to line 12. J plus plus. J becomes 3. Is 3 lesser than 3?
No.
It will terminate the loop. Any question to that point? Show you what that day before we proceed.
Very nice, sir. 100.
Good. So with this condition first now, it's going to terminate this loop. That will now allow it to run the code after this loop. Because of that, it can now alert welcome. Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
Since this loop is no longer there, because this condition is false, it will now alert, it will run the code after it. It can now alert welcome. Then after alerting welcome, it will now see this line 17, the end of this loop. On getting to the end of this loop, what will it do? I'm asking us now.
Jump back to line 10.
Good. It will jump back to line 10 and say I plus plus. I will now become 1.
1.
Is 1 lesser than 2?
Yes.
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 It will enter this loop and run all the codes there. What will it do? It will first alert hello. After alerting hello, you should now see this loop again. So it will create a new variable called j, and the value will be 0. Is 0 lesser than 3?
Yes.
Yes. Then it
Yes.
will enter this loop and run the codes there. It will console log I comma j. What is I?
I is now 1.
1. What is j?
J still 0 for
0.
now.
Good. Then it will alert I. Then to see the end of this loop. Once it gets here, it jumps back to line 12. J plus plus. J becomes 1. Is 1 lesser than 3?
Yes.
Then console log I comma j. What will I say? What is I?
1 1.
1 1. Good.
I is 1.
Alert I. Good. I and j, both of them are 1 now. So alert I after them. Then if you get to the end of this loop, then jumps back up. J plus plus. J becomes 2. Is 2 lesser than 3? Yes.
Yes.
It will enter this loop again. Console log I comma j. What is I comma j?
I 2.
1 2.
Sorry, 1 2.
Alert I. Then if you get to the end of this loop, then jumps back up. J plus plus. J becomes what?
3.
It's 3 lesser than 3.
No.
It will
No.
terminate this loop. Then it will alert welcome.
Welcome.
Then get to the end of this loop and jumps back up. J becomes what? I becomes what?
2 now. 2.
2. Is 2 lesser than 2?
No.
So it will terminate the whole loop altogether. Any question?
Question. Basically, that means if there's a nested loop, the JavaScript perform the inner loop, it conclude the inner loop before it went back to the outer loop.
Yes, you are right. It will first complete this inner loop. When it's done, it will run all the codes, then go back. It comes back here and start again. Once it sees this one again, it will complete it again from 0, 1, 2 till it's done. Then proceed to do all this, then till it gets to the end of this place. Then it will implement it again and starts afresh till it sees this. Once it sees this again, it starts from 0 again till it's done with this whole loop. Any question? Well, as much as possible, you don't want to use loops in your code because it can delay your software. You understand that if you run these codes now, if you first do this, then do this 3 times, 3 times, then comes back, do this again another 3 times. Do you understand this? Do you get it? So if you run
Yes,
this
sir.
code now, we have a result that looks like this: 0 0 0 1 0 2 1 0 1 1 1 2. So that's how nested loop works. You can still have another loop inside this place again. So I can call this K. So here I can now say I comma j comma k. So you can have as much, in fact, well, like I said, you don't want to use loops in your code like that. If you have options not to use loop, I will advise that you don't because it delays software. But then some other times it depends on the application you are building. Sometimes you have choice, some other times you don't have choice. You have to use loop. So, but we now understand how nested loop works, right? Now, I now want to give us assignments. Can we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Shall I work pẹ̀lú mi?
Then, sir.
Okay. Any question?
No questions, sir.
Here's our assignment. We want to have inputs Can even say input times number. It's fine.
Timo, Johnson. Timo,
Button.
Okay.
ah,
You can
everything.
say
No, sir.
Kini.
do we know multiplication table, the one at the back of our exercise books? Ṣá multiplication table tó wà lẹ́yìn exercise book.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sà.
That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. So the idea is this. When you click on, let me delete all of this. When you click on this button, multiply. Let's assume the user, let's run it on the browser now. Let's assume the user typed.
Yo, that one now. That one, my J.
Please, can you mute? Let's assume the user types 4 and 6. Let me put a placeholder to make it easy. Placeholder. I can call this O, and I can call this
No.
column. So we have here, we have row here, and we have column here. So this is the number of rows you want in your multiplication table, and this is the number of columns you want in your multiplication table. If I put 4 here and I put 6 here, once I click on this button, I'm just saying that I need to create a multiplication table of 4 by 6. So my result should look like this. This is one of the reasons I'm missing Visual Studio Code. Would have been the best for it now. I should have a table. Then with TR, okay, so maybe I just want to have this CD 1 times 1 equals 1.
So are you creating a table?
Yes. Okay, I think this is fine. 2 times 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And finally, Okay. So let's run it on the browser. Let me give it a port. So we have this 1 times 1 1. Well, this should be, I think the row should be at the position of the column now. This should be 1 times 1. This 1 times 2 should be under this place. Do you get it? Like the way we have it at the back of our exercise books. 1 times 1. The next one should be 1 times 2. 1 times 1. 1 times 2. Then this should be 1 times 3. And this should be 1 times 4. Then this should be 2 times 1. Then this should be 3 times 1. Then this should be 4 times 1. And this should be 5 times 1. And this should be 6 times 1. So 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times, I'm coming, 3 times 2,
That is first one, 2 times 1.
I'm coming, 4 times 2, oh, 5 times 2, then I'll just copy this. That is that. Copy. Then come here. Paste. So change this to okay. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Then copy. Paste. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. I'll first run this. Yeah. I get in there gradually. So I think for the first one we are fine. 1 times 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We are fine. This should be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So this should be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and finally 24. So we have this result. Let's assume the user types 4 here and 6 here. Then and click on this button, then we have this result. Do we understand what we are doing? What this means is create a table for us. The table should have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any question? Hello, everybody.
We are with you, sir. Please come again, sir.
Okay. Let's assume we want to create a multiplication table like we have at the back of our exercise books. So if the user wants to create a multiplication table that has 4 rows and 6 columns, the user will come here and type 4, then come here and type 6. Once the user click on this button, it will now generate a table that looks like this. If the user type 8, 8, then you get a table that has 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like you have 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, 1 times 6, 1 times 7, 1 times 8. And 8 columns. It will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 also. Do you get what you have to do now? Shall you have exercise books? Hello?
Hello, sir.
When you have 12 by 12 at the back of most exercise with 12 rows and 12 columns, Abi?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But in this case, you want it to be dynamic. That is, the user will type. A user may not be interested in 12 by 12. A user may be interested in 4 by 4, or 4 by 8, or 4 by 6. This user now is interested in 4 by 6. What's exactly can
That
this
for
plot?
is the first input. The first input should be the row or the column, sir.
The row. The second one will be the column.
The first one should be the column. Okay.
The first one will be the row. The second one will be the column. I think I put a placeholder. This is the row. Why this is the column? Do we understand it? Show you why. Okay,
Yes, sir.
I will
We are
send
with you,
a
sir.
link to you after the class. You will see how one of I will show you one of the project of one of my students when I was at SQI. You'll see how it looks like. I think I recorded a video section on my YouTube channel then about the project. So I can just send it to you, then you see how it looks like.
Yeah, it's okay, sir.
Okay. So, but I think that one is a calculation table. That is, you can even choose if you don't want it to be multiply, you can choose division, subtraction, addition, whatever you want, you can choose it. Any question? So, in absence of question, then we meet on Friday. I will send the video tonight.